We have built our LAMP automation role in episode 9 of our Devlab series, in which we deployed both Drupal and Laravel Lumen in a single container running Apache, MariaDB, and PHP-FBM. During that episode, I said that we will come back to the LAMP role to allow switching to Nginx. In this episode, we will do that, and we will also extend our role to support two new methods for deploying projects for development, which are deploying a project from an archive file and deploying a project from Git. Those methods will be added to the existing method we built previously in episode 9, which is the deployment using Composer. Composer is the leading PHP package manager. With the single exception of WordPress, every PHP application I have used or worked on in the past 6 years or even more uses Composer. Even supporting scripts that are not applications by themselves, things like PHPMyAdmin, have switched to Composer packaging because of its benefits for the developers and for the users. WordPress does not support Composer. WordPress can be deployed in two ways, either by cloning a repository or by downloading an archive file. We will test both methods today. But first, let's fix the empty nginx.yaml file that we left in the LAMP role from the previous episode 9. Nginx installation is a lot easier than Apache installation. We just need to install the packages and to create the sites in the sites available directory. And this is a loop. We loop through all our sites that we get from the configuration file. And then we activate the sites by creating a symbolic link from sites available to sites enabled. We could install other options and models for Nginx, but for WordPress, that's all we need. And we see that in the defaults file where we only install the Nginx package. We don't need any additional models like Apache. So we look at the site now and we see that first I have refactored the Composer install and moved it to its own file. So before in episode 9, we had Composer installation here. I separated it to its own file so that this site install becomes easier to maintain and to understand. So first, if we have a Composer project option in the site or a variable in the site, we run the Composer file. If we have an archive URL in the site, we now run download archive.yaml file. This is the download archive.yaml. Basically, it's easy. First, we create the install path. We need to create it here because it's useful to make sure it exists, and because in site YAML we delete it when we do cleanup, and you need to be careful with this because we are deleting the site path. Anything that you put in site path, we are deleting it in this role. If you need to change that behavior, feel free to do that. Then we download the archive using the unarchive model with the remote src option, and we put it in the install path, and then we apply the snippets on the install path. We have seen the snippets idea and how we use them in episode 9, so please look at that episode for details about snippets. So this is how we install a site using the archive. Using Git, it's almost the same, but with the exception that instead of downloading and unzipping or archiving, here we clone a repository from a URL that was provided in the install path. The version here should be a variable. I should have used a variable here. We can change that. But we continue. This is also the snippets, and we will see them. In the defaults file, there is nothing new. In the variables file, we see that we changed the LAMP server software to be Nginx, and this is basically a copy of the Drupal file with some modifications. We changed the VM ID and the MAC address so that we get IP 125 in our subnet. And we have the LAMP server sites changed. So we are installing two sites, two WordPress sites, by the way. The first site works on port 81, and we are installing it from the latest zip file of wordpress.org. When we extract this latest.zip, it creates a WordPress site inside the default directory that we created. We download two snippets. The first snippet is the configuration so that we configure the site automatically. And the second snippet is the database. So we will overlay a database on the site, and then in shell commands, we will import this database. So we not just we download the database as a snippet, we import it. So after this, we get an operational site. And here we do the same, but with different variables. We clone the URL from github.com WordPress. We could also add a task to clone it from Subversion. The install path is WordPress 2, and the document root is still WordPress 2 because this directory will be empty. So when we clone the URL, it will work in the same directory. There is no subdirectory as we have seen here. The snippets are two different snippets for this database and for this databases. By the way, I forgot to mention databases. We have two databases. Yes. So we have one configuration for the second configuration for the second database, and we have a dump for the second database. And we import the second database as well. The playbook is simple. First, we create the container if we need to recreate it. Then we run the base role and the LAMP role. I did not run the SSL role, and we could have done that. I could not run it now because we will need DNS if we do not need to copy the hosts everywhere to pollute the host file, and I prefer to use DNS for that. Previously, I copied the hosts file, the host definition to the etc host file in the base role just for testing. But from now on, we will wait until we do DNS. Then we will start using SSL all the time. I have already run this role and it completes successfully. This is a recent run, the last run. And I have also checked the result. So first let's look at the snippets. So this is one database, and this is the second database, and this is a variable file, and this is the second variable file. The difference between these two is in the database name here and here. So this gives us two databases. One is test site 2 operating on port 82, and the other one is test site and operating on port 81. And if we request this IP by itself, we make sure that we are working on Nginx. So we have Nginx installed here, and we have two sites operating here. So, and I have tested them, they work for me. Let's look at php.php. So this is the php.php, and if I look at the variables, I see environment variables. Yes, dev, I see that user is dev, so I am using the correct user, which allows me to write down to write to the home directory. And if I look at memory, max memory limit, I see that I have 265 and the default is 128. So I am overriding the memory as we see in the variable file. We are overriding the memory in this site. So now we have a role that can install either Apache or Nginx, depending on what we need, and PHP in FBM mode, and MariaDB, and can install any site, any number of sites we want, and can overlay any configuration on them that we want, even databases, and we can also import databases. We can get these sites from Composer or from Git or from an archive file. I think this is a very flexible role that we have built for PHP development in the Devlab. And in fact, this is more flexible than my own role that I have previously built, that I have been using for years now. And I think I will switch to this new role in my personal work. The code will be in a pull request in GitHub when the video is published, and I will merge that pull request when I get the next pull request for the next episode of the Devlab series. In the next episode, we will do DNS with Ansible. And frankly, I still did not start working on that episode. I was busy working on firewalls and WireGuard and networking, all that stuff. So we will do DNS in the next episode. It might come a little bit late because I still did not prepare it. But we need it. We have seen that we need it today in when we did we could not do SSL because we needed it. After that, I will do another dev container, and then it will be some networking and firewall with Ansible, and then I will switch between networking and dev container, networking and dev container from now on until we close the series. I would like to draw your attention to my AI videos. I have published, for example, one AI video about running a competition between large language models on your hosted on your machine. And recently, I published another video showing my workflow for generating images for my articles using 3 AI models. So if you are interested in AI, please have a look at that. I would like to thank all the people who follow me on YouTube, on GitHub, on Medium, and on other platforms, and especially the people who leave comments and likes. Those interactions with the audience give me the feeling that my videos provide some value to others. If you like my videos, if you think that my videos or my code give you any value, please let me know in the best way for you. As usual, all the code will be in GitHub when I post this video, and all the links to the repo and to the articles and to the previous videos will be in the description below the video. There will always be an open pull request in the repository on GitHub, and the code I wrote for this episode will not be merged until a pull request for the next episode is published. If you have watched this video, you probably will enjoy looking at the code and telling me what you think. I welcome comments, reviews, code reviews, and any type of feedback on the code in GitHub. Please feel free also to fork the repository and to modify it to match your own Devlab. You might be interested in episode 9 when we have built the LAMP role. And if you like AI art, please check my AI playlist. You will find a competition between large language models and how I designed my stable diffusion workflow from scratch. Please follow my work, and let's meet in the next episode.